Okay, so today I am going to make a video. It's like a just in case video, where I go through the answers to the worksheets that you're supposed to be working on for class 21, 22, and 23, which make up the bulk of Unit 5. So if I go into labor early and I'm not available, we will not have class. You will instead, on your own time, work and complete worksheets for classes 21, 22, and 23. And that will be the three things that I go over in this video. So the first one is on selection and speciation. Selection and speciation. So first, we have three different types of selection. We've got directional selection, where one trait or another is favored, one direction or another. We've got disruptive selection, which favors the outside edges, so either large or small, and then stabilizing, where things come to the middle. So question 1 says, what variables do the graphs and models 1 compare? So this compares body size versus number of individuals. What are the three types of selection? Directional, disruptive, and stabilizing. According to the graphs in Model 1, there is variation in the body mass in the original population. Using your knowledge of genetics, describe how this variation is possible. Body mass is a polygenic trait, so there are lots of different genes that control for body mass. Number 4, how is the population that has experienced selection different from the original population? In Model 1, individuals are larger. B, fitness is defined as the relative ability of an individual to survive, reproduce, and pass on genes. Which individuals in the original population appear to display better fitness? That's the larger ones. And then C, as a group, propose some characteristics of the environment that could lead to the population changes. And this could be anything. Maybe they're stronger, maybe they're faster, that allows them to hunt, it allows them to escape. Maybe if it's a plant, the bigger size gives them more light, anything along those lines. Okay, number 5. Now we're moving on to graph B. How is the population that has experienced selection different from the original population? Here, we have larger and smaller individuals that are more common. B, which individuals in the original population appear to display the better fitness? That's both the large and the small. And then as a group, propose some characteristics. Maybe the large ones can hunt better and the small ones can escape the prey better, or escape the predators better. Again, whatever, just some sort of explanation. And now number 6, how is the population that has experienced selection different from the original population? In this case, we've moved towards the average. Which individuals in the original population have better fitness? The average ones. And then you could propose any sort of explanation. You could say if they were too big, maybe they were conspicuous and they were able to be spotted and hunted down. But if they're small, they're too slow, and so they want it to be like just right. Whatever. Okay, so as a group, come up with some definitions. So here are the definitions. A, directional selection is selection for an individual towards one extreme phenotype. B, disruptive selection is selection for individuals towards both extreme phenotypes. And C, stabilizing selection is selection for individuals that are an average phenotype. Okay. In each of the following examples, describe the likely outcome due to the environmental pressure and state what type of selection. So finches with small beaks cannot open seeds, and so this leads to directional selection, where only large beak finches survive. B, human babies with either high or low birth weight rate have high mortality. This is stabilizing selection, so it pushes it to the middle. C, a population of sea cracker finches feed on seeds available in 2 sizes, small or large. That's disruptive. So either the large ones or the small ones with the large beaks with the small beaks. And then D, overfishing occurs in 2 rivers in British Columbia, Canada, where large salmon are preferentially caught. This is directional, so only the small salmon will have that increase in fitness. Okay. Let's move on to model 2, where we talk about reproductive isolation. So again, natural selection, the improved fitness of certain individuals in the population that allow for survival and reproduction, is the primary mechanism by which populations change over time. Other mechanisms include the introduction of a mutation in the population, as well as artificial selection. What point does a change in the population develop a new species? Data has been collected showing that the average height of American is increasing, but that does not mean that Americans have evolved into a new species. So what does it take? And this goes through, the model goes through different ways that we can get a new species to occur. And if you look down, the first example, if the mating produces a viable fertile offspring, they're the same species. But anytime you're missing one of those two things, viable and fertile offspring, they're not the same species. Okay, so question 9, referring to model 2, identify the pairs of organisms that are able to produce offspring. So A, B, C, D, and E, F made offspring. But number 10, which pair are the same species? Only A and B. Consider all of that. What criteria is missing in all cases that could be used to define a species? Here we're defining it as the ability to create fertile offspring. Fertile, viable offspring. Okay. The primary criteria for animals to be classified as different species is that there must be reproductive isolation, meaning for some reason organisms from the two populations cannot pass on their genetic code through reproduction for several generations. Other criteria such as differing morphology and how much DNA the organisms share can also be used in making a final determination. A common farming practice, number 12, is to breed a female horse with a male donkey. This results in a very robust animal, the mule. However, they're sterile. So, are they the same species, horses and donkeys? No, because the offspring is not fertile. It needs to make a fertile offspring. Number 13, many species of birds have elaborate mating rituals that include bird calls, nest construction, and courtship displays. A researcher is comparing two populations of birds with similar morphology that live in similar niches. Male birds in one population build a nest before attempting to court a female, while males in the other build a nest in cooperation. Is it likely that they'll be able to classify these birds as the same species? No, because they probably won't make offspring together due to that behavioral difference. Number 14, could directional selection lead to the creation of a new species? Justify a reason. Yes, the new population could be different from the original, and eventually we might get reproductive isolation. Could disruptive selection lead to the creation of a new species? Also the same. Also the same. Same with stabilizing. Anytime the offspring or the two populations stop mating together, or they don't produce a viable fertile offspring together, you're going to have the creation of a new species. Okay. Then we get to the extension question, which is fun with balls, fun with circles. Number 17, refer to model 3, fill in the numbers. So I'm going to just read across the light balls, the medium, and the dark. So the light in the first generation is 4, and then we go down to 2, 1, and by the fourth generation, we're at 0. The medium, we start at 4, and then second generation is 5, 5, and 6 in the fourth generation. And then the dark is 4, 5, in the third generation, we're at 6, and at the fourth, we're at 6. In number 18, the frequency of the 3 alleles in the first generation are all equal. In the scenario illustrated here, 2 of the light alleles are lost before reproduction occurred in the first generation. How does this affect the distribution? We get a shift towards the darker alleles. Number 20, the phenomenon illustrated in model 3 is called genetic drift. It mainly occurs in small, isolated populations. Propose an explanation for why the light alleles disappear from the population. So the light color here was at a disadvantage, perhaps, and there were very few left. Number 21, will the light alleles ever reappear? Yes, you could get migration in, you could get a bunch of light alleles coming back. You could also get a mutation that recreates that light allele. And number 22, if the population in model 3 had been very large, would the loss of 2 alleles have led to the disappearance? No, 2 alleles would not have had such a large impact if the population itself was large. Okay, so that is our selection and speciation worksheet. I'm going to create another video going through the Hardy-Weinberg equation.